count of this meeting's video and audio can be found at genoatwp.com. Pat, will you call the roll?
Ms. McMurray. Here. Ms. Vaughn.
Here.
I thought I said it.
Also present, we have our fiscal officer, Patrick Myers, our assistant fiscal officer, HR director, Donna Batten, our office manager, Dina Brown, director of roads, buildings and grounds and parks, Lauren Fitzpatrick, police chief, James McMillan, fire chief, Joseph Ponzi, director of zoning and development, Joseph Schaefer, director of communications and events,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And new town
Leslie.
administrator, Leslie.
I need a ruler to keep in line. Leslie Strader and our township administrator, Paul Wise. At this time, we stand for the pledge. Pat, we start?
Yes. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pat.
Yes, thank you.
All right, agenda changes?
Yes, Board. I thought that I was going to have a OPWC from the state, but it didn't arrive in time. That's off. Also, the other thing, too, is we moved the Roth from HR over to fiscal, the discussion for that, and also the Jared Speakman issues moved to the police department.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. I will turn it over to Pat for the fiscal officer report.
Thank you. Just a couple things. First of all, I'd ask for approval of trustee meeting minutes from the regular meeting on June 9th, 2026, special trustee meeting on June 11th, 2026, and the special trustee meeting on June 24th, 2026.
I am going to split that
Okay?
and leave the 24th separate. So I will move to approve the following trustee meeting minutes: June 9th, 2026, regular trustee meeting, and June 11th, 2026, special trustee meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antonetts?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes. And then I'll have a second motion to approve the June 24th, 2026, special trustee meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antonetts?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Thank you. Next, I'll just review the financial. I'll have them for your review and signature. Currently, total funds of $30,265,873.17. Our pooled investment accounts have $22,160,366.22, and the primary account of $8,098,506.95, and everything is cleared. And this is for month end June.
Okay, thank you.
And then the last thing I have is, I am not a investment analyst or financial planner, but I understand this a little bit. So let me go through this with you. Currently, Ohio deferred compensation that you're familiar with is called a 457B. It's a traditional 457B. You can defer dollars out of your salary into that within the IRS limits. It is a pre-tax dollar, so the money goes in there pre-tax, and then you're taxed when you go ahead and withdraw the money or begin to draw that money whenever you decide to do that. What's come out since, Ohio Deferred Comp is now offering a Roth 457B, and the Roth is post-tax dollars. So the money goes in, and it's not taxed up front. You know, you're not paying tax later. The tax is taken right away. So you're accumulating that tax-free because at the end, you're not going to pay taxes when you withdraw it. So you can have both, but if you have both, they combined within the IRS limits that are set for one or what have you. So if the IRS limit, for instance, is your annual limit is $23,000, then you could do 12 and 11, or however you want to do it, or 0-23. So there's no cost to us to offer this. It's just another option for employees to plan for retirement and save money. So I would ask for a motion for us to be allowed to go ahead and have the administrator sign an agreement with deferred compensation, which is called Exhibit B, and it just outlines who we are, what we are, when we're paid, those type of things. And then Donna would work with that group to set up those deductions and set up that transfer of funds.
Okay, I will move to adopt the deferred compensation Roth 457B and authorize Township Administrator to sign the agreement on behalf of the Genoa Township Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
Give them to Mark. And discussion. I have, is there just one option for this? The state is the only one offering this, or are there vendors out there who offer?
I would imagine, and there's lots of vendors that offer it, but we would be paying fees to other vendors with Ohio deferred compensation, we don't.
Got it.
So that is one of the reasons we do it with them.
Okay.
No, I think this is great to be able to offer.
Yeah, I mean, the deferred compensation plan is good as it is, but this is a way that people can say, I don't have to worry about the taxes later. Because I don't think people sometimes understand that, and then when they go to take the money out, they go, oh, you mean I didn't pay taxes on this already?
Right.
So some people would rather have it this way.
I'd like to speak up on behalf of passing this because for the last 29 years, I've had a deferred comp account. And so I know that when I retire and start taking distributions, the state's going to take 25% or more. It's nice to have another plan that's going to be what the distributions are going to be or what I get. So I don't have to worry about reductions in those amounts. I like the diversity of having a different plan for us to utilize under our payroll system deductions.
And 401Ks have moved in this route where you can have both a traditional and a Roth. So this is, we're kind of catching up to the private sector by being able to offer this.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette? Ms. Bond?
Yes, motion passes.
Unless you have anything for me, that's all I have.
All right. All right, we'll pass. About trustee comments? Anyone?
I'd like to bring up an issue we've had in the past. We've kind of kicked the can down the road, and it's the e-bikes again. I know we received a recent email expressing concern, and they continue to come in. And just personally, I mean, you all have to see it too now. It's crazy, these young kids now, they're out and about. It doesn't appear that they know or obey any of the rules, so I'd like to bring this subject matter back up again. I think it's prudent for us as, you know, representatives of the township residents that we take this more serious. And, you know, we adopt something. I know it'd be difficult to enforce, but at least we have a tool that we can use to at least maybe educate and enforce at the same time. So I don't know how we do this to bring it back up again, but it is time.
So I don't know if you all read the article that was sent. I don't know who all received it, but it was a really good article kind of tying in not only like the enforcement side of things, but kind of looking at it from another, I guess, lens that, you know, we now have people, young people, operating motor vehicles on our roadways. We have them careening down our bike paths, which are also occupied by humans who don't have the same speed as those bikes, and those are creating hazards within the community. I think education is an important part of it. I think educating our parents is a very important part of it, because ultimately they're going to be the ones that are going to have to enforce. But I think we have to think about it in a bigger perspective, beyond enforcement, but also how is it impacting those that live within our community, drive on our roads, utilize our bike paths. Because it's not a typical bike. It's not yeah. So I guess next steps, where do we want to go with this?
I appreciate the article that was shared, and it looked like one of the major concerns, at least with the Westerville, what they're working on in Westerville, is enforcement. Because this is beyond a police question, and there's no park police. So is it just going to be a nice policy that's out there that we just can't do anything because we don't have anybody out there policing that issue? Because I don't think our cops are out on our bike trails patrolling. I mean, they're mostly on the road. That's where the demand is, to do house checks and do speed checks, et cetera. So however you want to go forward with it.
This, I mean, we have talked about this at length, during several meetings. I have reached out to other townships in the county. We're unique because we have our own police department. Other townships say, yeah, it's up to the sheriff's office and they don't have time to deal with this. I mean, the sheriff spoke at our County Township Association meeting in June. They only have 8 sheriff vehicles throughout the county. We have 3 to 4 on any given day. So they don't have near the patrol that we do. There's no way they can monitor that. The article that was sent to us talked about educating parents, and it talked about teachers are already overwhelmed with curriculum. The chief and I have discussed, and it was too late this year, it was right before school was out, because Powell had done an educational event, and the only person who showed up was one of our people, right, from the police department. So that doesn't work. So I had talked to the chief about, you got to go where they are. And I'm not talking classroom, I'm talking open houses at some of these schools, right, in our township. We need to have a presence there because the parents are there. It's not in the classroom, you need to educate the parents. But if they're not going to come to you, we need to go to them. So the chief and I had talked about doing that. Now that it's almost school time again, believe it or not, maybe we can revisit that for the fall. But my goal is to come to some of those school events and have a presence. And I don't know what it is, if it's partnership with the school, that the school has an educational booth or maybe part of their program, we address the issue. But I would leave it up to our chief. Do we take an officer off the road and patrol the paths? I don't know.
Is it okay if I chime in on a couple of
Yes.
these? So first off, administrator-wise, we do patrol our parks and our paths as much as we can. Right, we have 3 officers for the township. We all know the demographics that we're working. We're not out as much as we used to. We are in the process of revitalizing our bike patrol. We ended up getting out of it because we have become so busy. When we put one of our officers on a bicycle and they can't respond in a vehicle, it compromises the remainder of the township because we lose that officer's ability to respond to the critical calls, the crashes. They just can't go as far and fast. So we are there, but not as much as what everybody would like because of the resources. When it comes to how much do we patrol, it's like everything. It's a balancing act. How much house checks do we do versus neighborhood checks versus traffic enforcement in the schools, out of the schools, and we would continue to work on that. As far as with the schools, we did meet with the schools in some working groups towards the end of the year with their safety team, their safety committee, some of their executives, and the school understands that they need to be a part of it in a partnership. But as Trustee Vaughn said, they were right at the end of the school year, so we're hoping right when it starts back up to also help with some of that education and enforcement. We did talk a lot because we've been on the front of this talking about it because of our community and the way it is early on. And education is important, and we've all been working on it. All of our partner communities have been working on it. So I think the knowledge is there. It's just whether or not people want to follow the law. Everybody knows you stop at a stop sign. We know how many people don't do that. Also, since the last time this has really been a big topic inside of our discussions, I've become part of working groups that involve judges, part of Jackie Bain, who is Safe Coalition Delaware, other police executives, prosecutors, and attorneys, because we're all working to figure out what to do. I'll receive communications from the citizens that call the e-bikes a motorcycle. And while I appreciate the terminology that they want to use, the law doesn't see them as a motor vehicle. They have their own classification, and that's where we're bound by. Even the judges, when it comes to laws, are trying to figure out if you ride a Class 3 e-bike, what would be the proper penalty because they don't require a license, but could they start to require a license because other vehicles you can travel at in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, if you're without a license, it's a no-ops. So those are a lot of things that are working through it. That doesn't solve our immediate problem, but since we started talking about it midsummer last year when it felt like it was more of a isolated team of us, it's now gotten to the point where judges, prosecutors, other attorneys, police executives, other executives, lawmakers are trying to figure out how do we handle that. Where do we go as a township? Obviously, we have to work that out. And when it comes to putting in ordinances, laws, and restrictions on it, we would have to figure out a way to enforce it like we do a lot of things. And it would take the team and divide our resources more. But I know how important it is to do it, so it's something that we need to talk about. And so I hope that's a little bit more on what we've been doing over the last couple of months and through the winter.
Thank you.
Through that email, it was clear, and it wasn't the first time this came up, but Freeman, well, it's Commonwealth Park now, off of Freeman Road, seems to be an active area where you see a lot of activity before and after school. So I don't know if we target that and see if that resolves some of the issues. I know Lauren has had some words with some kids in the parks to try to discourage it, but I don't know how best to handle it. But I would like to see if we know, we've been given the days and the times, right? So if we can target some of that, maybe it would only take a few times and send a message that, hey, we're going to be trolling this. Go find somewhere else.
But if we don't have a policy or a rule,
Yep.
I didn't know what you have nothing to enforce. At least, I think, I can see the challenge of policing the public streets, but we certainly can provide some sort of policy, rules, limitations in our township property, parks, trails. And and we don't expect that every one of them violators get caught and fined, but in the event something does happen and we have a speed limit and they are found to have gone significantly over the speed limit, at least then we have some sort of a hammer. But right now we have nothing.
But do we? If they violate our policy and let's say, someone gets hurt, what happens? Do we have any authority? I don't know.
We can, the law, if I remember when we talked about it last, the law does allow the townships, we do have enough authority in there to enact an ordinance, such as we do with our noise ordinances, our vendor permits, and enact ordinances, and then we would be able to enforce them under that township code, whether it be mandating all riders of scooters and e-bikes to be in helmets, because there's different classes. So that's where, when you start to see people enacting some ordinances, if you enact a Class 3 bike has to have this, we've all determined. When you ride by somebody, we don't know what a Class 3 bike looks like. So if we do something where, as Trustee Antonis said, is we do speed limits for all, maybe helmets for all, we do have the ability to put those. I believe the board can vote on a resolution. It becomes your ordinance, whatever our number happens to be, and we can enforce it.
I don't know, and what's the penalty? Let's say they violate it, what happens?
We'd have to look at what the section of our rule says, and we'd have to make the determination. It's probably a fine. It's going to be very similar to a minor misdemeanor. Pardon me. Just like our noise ordinance is, it starts out with that, and there's a level of a fine. And I thought last year when we made this discussion, we read that it is part of our authority under the township.
I don't know.
I'd have to
I just threw that
revisit it.
out there.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And as we remember last year, every month that we'd come in to talk about it, I'd have to update what they changed in the laws, because they were changing it every single month with it. So I can redo the research, update it since last fall, get whatever the current laws are. Because, again, even the one as late as the last article I put up that says you can be on the sidewalk, but you have to have the motor disengaged. That's been an additional law lately. Where we can go through it, and I can double check on that. But I remember, I thought when last fall or last summer when we talked about it, it was within the township scope to pass those ordinances, but I can confirm that by next meeting.
Trustee Antonetts, you want to spearhead that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I mean, me and my wife use the bike trail quite a bit, and I'd see it becoming more and more prevalent. I mean, you can just drive our streets and you can see it. So I think doing nothing is not an option. I think we need to come up with something, and it's really about protecting those that aren't on the e-bike. Whether you're walking the trail, because it's a multi-use trail. It's not like we have a walking trail and a bike trail and an e-bike trail. That's a shared trail, and it's not a big trail. You go to Chicago and they have the walking trail next to the bike trail, so you don't fear of getting run over by a bike, and we don't have that. So I think it's upon us to do something before something serious happens and somebody calls on us and wants to know why we've never done anything about it.
Lauren, what are you hearing in your circle?
So in my circle, it's the safety in the parks that's really being pushed with us. And as I shared last summer, we've had a few close safety calls with lawnmowers, with the e-bikes buzzing around them. It's pretty scary situation. One thing I did want to bring up to everyone this evening, we have great residents that typically follow our park guidelines and rules. You know, the smoking and vaping in parks, how often do you see it? Almost never. Dogs on leashes. Once in a while, you'll see a dog off a leash. I mean, we can't arrest them, fine them, anything for that. They just respect our parks and respect our rules and guidelines. You're always going to have someone that breaks them here and there, but having the guidelines is definitely going to help make the area safer and possibly cut down on, you know, close calls or, God forbid, accidents. So that's just kind of my thought on when it comes to the parks and putting some kind of regulations on, whether it's age regulations. Speed's going to be really hard. How are we going to know how fast they're going? You know, so maybe it's something inside our parks we look at. If they're under the age of 16, they've got to have a parent or guardian with them to use it inside the park areas. You know, because if you're over 16, you're probably not going to be riding one in the park. So if you're going to be riding one in the park, maybe have a parent. So just a couple ideas to think about and thoughts that they are great about following our rules and helping us take care of our parks. So just a thought to keep in the back of your minds.
Mark, if I could clarify the home rule thing. If you're a non-home rule township, you cannot enact ordinances that are outside of the ORC. You can put an ordinance in place, but it has to exactly be the ORC. If you're home rule, you can make your own, except property owned by the township, such as parks, trails, and so forth. Then you can put some stuff in with civil fines and things like that.
So we can control our own
You can
space.
control your own. Public roadways, because we're not home rule. We can't make any kind of laws on that. But stuff that we own, the trails, the parks, land we own, you can do those type of things as a non-home rule township.
Good to know. Yeah, New Albany has some, I've noticed recently, some newer signage around the e-bikes too. So I did take a picture of that, and I can share that with you, Chief, so you can see some of the stuff that I've seen out there.
And it's becoming much more common again since we talked about it a year ago with New Albany and Westerville. There's others off the top of my head, but I don't want to mention them and then be wrong. But it's coming around. We were a couple months before it started to come around when we talked about it and garnered a lot of opposition to it. But it's definitely coming around.
Okay, nice discussion, thank you. Before we move on, I just have one thing. I know I just want to recognize that we did have a accident here at Big Walnut and Route 3 near the 4th of July weekend, and I just want to say that my condolences to the family. We township staff and trustees have received a few emails regarding safety of that intersection and the bike path, and, you know, it was sent to me that we should have a stop sign on that trail. Does anybody want to address any of that? The history of
I'll
that?
start off, and then I'll let the chief and Lauren pitch in. But at one time, we did have stop signs on our trails. And so ODOT came in and reviewed the intersections and our trail crossings and decided that those stop signs were not necessary because there are already they have a push button ahead. So those stop signs would be in conflict with the push button ped heads that were further down, 50 feet down. So if someone pressed that button on that ped head, it's going to say walk. So they got a free path across the road. But if there's a stop sign, now that's conflicting with the walk sign. So it will confuse matters. So they just wanted a yield. That's what it was recommended, and that's what Lauren put up for our township.
Yeah, yield to oncoming traffic is what Ohio Department of Transportation recommended we place on those intersections, and we did so. It's kind of like putting a stop sign underneath a stoplight. It's no different for the bike crossing from the DOT standpoint of things. From law enforcement, I I know nothing about that, so. But from DOT standpoint, that's kind of how they look at things with that crossing. Now, our crossings that don't have the electronic button across do have stop signs.
I would just kind of reiterate what the previous two comments were. So we have the crosswalks, which allow lawful pedestrians to cross when it gives them that authorization. And then we have the yield sign, which does pertain to the bicycles. They have to yield to oncoming traffic. And then they're both viewed by both sides. So even though a bicycle is not technically protected in the crosswalk unless they're walking it about, it has the yield sign for traffic, and they can clearly see if it's safe to cross because of the way that the traffic pattern comes. So that's the way I understand it too, is it would be almost like a double dip where we have the crosswalk and a stop sign, and if you have the clear walk sign, you have the stop sign there, and it's gonna create a little bit of confusion. So safety is an issue, but there is signage there that's telling you you're coming up to an intersection. There is things telling bicyclists to yield, crosswalks telling you don't cross. And once again, it's whether or not we're going to follow the laws that we have in place there and not go through, which we see that frequently, at a lot of our intersections. Again, it's another one of those areas where we're trying to work them, but there's so many of them across the board. You're never going to be able to catch them all.
Thank you. Anything else for trustee comments? All right, we will move on to administrator and Paul.
Thank you. In your packet of information this evening is a request to approve a contract extension with Rumpke of Ohio. This resolution is exactly the same except for the name of the township of the ones that are going to be passed in Orange Township and Liberty Townships. All three of us need to be in agreement with this. The highlight of this, it's going to be a 3-year extension to the existing contract. The term is, the only change of terms, which was the maximum increase by law is 9.9% increase to the rate. Currently, our residents are enjoying a $19.04 per month rate for the base waste and recycling. With this increase, it should take it up to $20.93. The seniors are enjoying a 10% discount off the rate. Their rates will go from $17.14 to $18.83 a month. So I recommend the board pass this resolution. If we don't, then we'll be out into a bid situation. Now, this contract's unique because it's one of the few contracts in the state that don't allow for the contractor to place fuel charges onto the residents. A lot of residents, I know, I talked to Plain Township yesterday, their residents have to pay a rate, but now they're paying fuel excise taxes included in their rate based upon what Rumpke charges them. So we're protected by that. We made sure that was exempted out of our contract because we didn't want our residents to be in a situation where prices of gas are going out of control and no one predicted a war with Iran. So I recommend passing that this evening.
Okay, I will move to approve the first addendum to contract with Rumpke of Ohio as presented. Do I have a second?
Second?
Paul, do you know if the other two trustees or townships have passed this? we know?
I am not sure the Orange Township date when they're going to be voting.
Okay.
Do you happen to know, fiscal officer? I think it's this week. Okay, that would be tomorrow.
Okay.
I haven't heard what happened last night at Liberty, but I assume it's passed because she didn't call
Yeah.
telling me
Yeah.
that it didn't.
But
So-
you got a consensus from at
Yes.
least the administrators that everybody's on board?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Trustee Vaughn, that 9.9% increase is for the length of the contract. And everybody needs to know that's not going to be reviewed every year
No,
and more.
it's a
Right.
one-time
Yeah.
increase.
Yep. Thank you, Pat.
With that increase of 9.9%, we're still one of the lowest in
Yes.
central Ohio.
I remember at this discussion when the last time we passed this, and the question came up is, how do the seniors know that they're eligible for that
I
discount?
was going to ask that same thing.
What, are you asking for personal reasons?
And what's considered senior?
That's
Yeah,
what,
that's
I
my
don't know. Do
point.
we know? What is,
I'm I don't know. I think it's 62, I believe. It's on our website.
Oh, it's, okay, so it's on our website.
I do it online while you sit.
But every January, Rumpke puts out a yearly schedule, and they do say on that card that goes to all the residents saying,
Okay.
if you're this age, you can get a discount.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one method that they use.
And I can attest to that gas excise tax is a real thing. We use Bourne Brothers at our office, and they gave us a rate chart, and depending on what the dollar value of the gas is, that determines our bill for that month. So it's a
crazy.
real thing. And you can't blame them. I mean, you know, one month it's $4 a gallon, next it's $5, and
Right.
they're driving those big, heavy trucks around, so I get it. So we're fortunate that we don't have that in this.
All right.
Leslie,
go ahead.
fast. I was just going to say, could that be something we maybe highlight in a future newsletter?
Certainly, yeah.
Thank you.
Can do that.
Benefits for seniors living in our township.
All right, anything else?
Nope.
Roll.
Pat?
He's,
65 years or older at Rumpke. Thought I'd chat GPT that real quick. Or Genoa Township
all
it is, yes.
right. Paul, you couldn't have negotiated that?
I gotta wait 10 more years?
Ms. McMurray,
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette, Ms. Vaughn.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, Paul, and Orange and Liberty Townships for working on that. I guess that's all you had? Next is police.
Good evening, Board. I have a few items on the agenda for tonight. Excuse me. The first one that I have is to bring back up the fee schedule update, the charge to do video redaction. We had some lengthy discussion last month on it, and since that to now, we have received approval from our prosecutor. Prosecutor made a couple of small edits to what we submitted to him. And what he said was, he goes, now yours mimics the sheriff's office policy. So again, the sheriff's office is another one that's already had it in place, and sounds like it has been for a while. I know Blendon, Pat mentioned they've had theirs in place for a long time, and we mentioned several others through there. So the prosecutor approved it. Again, it matches what the sheriff's office in the county is doing. The prosecutor did approve the one addition that we as in Genoa Township asked for, which was giving our residents an exemption, which is not what is in the typical wording that people are using. And the resolution tonight actually has a small adjustment to it, because we even made a adjustment within the last couple of hours. Initially, we had an exemption for the residents of at least, they could get 2 videos up to 2 hours. What sounded like it made more sense and what was more comfortable was residents can have basically the 2 and 2 videos with 2 hours of redaction guaranteed, with additional exceptions at the discretion of the chief of police. That gives us a little bit, if somebody needs more, we're not holding them at 4 and 4, but it also allows your chief of police to make sure that those videos are not being used for nefarious things or for monetizing money, or somebody's getting a lot of our videos trying to post things on the internet to make our township, our officers look bad. So, every resident gets the 2 and 2, and if we have somebody that needs more, your chief of police can review that and ensure that we're taking care of our residents. This is not to punish the residents. This isn't to make it hard to get video. It's to stop the ones that are monetizing our township and our videos. So that the resolution is correct, except for the last exemption that says verified residents can request up to 2 hours. All of that's correct, but we did add the additional at the discretion of the chief of police. So unless the board has any questions for me, that's the only updates I have for that one.
Okay, I will move to approve the Genoa Township Police Department supplement to the public records policy regarding fees for I think, no, it's misspelled. Production
It's supposed to be.
or inspection of video records in accordance with RC 149.43B1 and accepted forms of payment for fees for production or inspection of public records as presented. Except with the addition of the police chief may authorize more free videos. There's a updated version in this. Do I have a second?
Second.
I thank you for the edit. I agree with you that we don't want to punish current residents. I like the fact that they have to show proof, right? Verified residents. I reiterate the chief's statement that we're spending a lot of man-hours, and I think the point of this is to discourage people outside our township who are strictly monetizing the video and, not taking our officers off the streets for this type of stuff. But I didn't want there to be an incident. There's always an exception, right? Oh, geez, this policy is being put in place with good intentions, but we don't want there ever to become a situation where a township resident needs more videos than 2 or 2 hours. Anybody else?
No, that's perfect.
All right, roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, Chief, for putting that together.
Trustees, I have a comment
Yeah.
about the last resolution for Rumpke. 2 things. It's not going to go into effect until next February 1st.
Thank you.
First thing. And the second thing, too, is our discount for seniors is 62 years old.
Oh,
Yes.
there you go.
We went to the actual contract.
Thanks, Lauren. She found it on our website.
Great. Thank you, Lauren. I still don't qualify, but I'm closer.
Pretty bad on the side, about 10% on my bill.
All right, next on police, tasers, and drone.
Yes, Board. So the next item, there's a lot of working parts to this, so I took a lot of notes to try to be on point and still able to accomplish it without getting too far off task. So tonight, I'm going to request a purchase, and the total purchase of the request is going to amount to a $227,986.80 purchase. There's really 2 parts to this purchase, and I hope by the end of my explanation you'll understand why we packaged it and did it the way that we did and asked for such a large purchase. The first part of the request is dealing with mostly tasers and training and what I'm calling a taser training technology pack. And then the second part of it is for a drone that we've been discussing now for probably almost a year. So Axon is the company that manufactures tasers. Every police department I know of across the United States for the past couple of decades now have used tasers, but Axon is the parent company. So you may hear me use the word Axon or taser interchangeably. It's the parent company is Axon, taser is the product. So recently Axon did a major upgrade to their taser technology and to their tasers. And the product is called a Taser 10 that's out there. And for me to understand it, when I first started researching this, is trying to compare a Razr flip phone to the newest smartphone. Technically, they're the same thing, but they're not really comparable. And that's what the previous model of tasers are compared to what this Taser 10 is. It's like comparing a flip phone to a pocket computer. Tasers, so what we're doing is we're not just buying a taser, but we're purchasing a taser and a training technology pack, because these tasers now have so much technology in them that you need to purchase VR training and licensing for them to be able to keep up and running. Some of the abilities, without getting into hours-long conversation on what they can do, but one of the things that this new taser can do, it actually can analyze the amount of shock that it's giving to a subject on the other end, and it knows if it has a good versus bad connection. If you've ever seen a video where somebody's attempting to taser a subject and they feel like you see them kind of jumping around but not really become incapacitated, or you see them actually pull the tasers out, it's because you don't have a good connection through the heavy clothing or one of the probes didn't hit, and they produce a continual amount of voltage no matter what happens, and it runs through its cycle. These new Taser 10s actually have feedback to tell the officer that's deploying it whether or not you have a good contact, and then it can gauge how much it needs to produce based off of the response that it's getting. It has a lot of technology to monitor usage, where the taser's been, downloading, how much it's been, its working order, its working condition, to name a couple of things. Make sure I don't repeat myself. Because the TASER has so much technology added to it, when you purchase these new TASER 10s, you're not just buying a TASER. They sell it in a package that also contains its technology pack and its VR training. What we did was we're requesting the virtual reality training pro package, and it's built in with a 5-year licensing agreement. So what you get over that 5 years is product support, warranty for all of it, what I consider, I guess I'm calling it adaptable and learnable AI. So it'll never be, for lack of a better way, it'll never be dumber than the day you buy it, because they'll continue to update it and improve it. So the next time it updates, it'll do more. It'll have more scenarios, more responsiveness, more ability to judge what the officer's doing. And it's not just a TASER training program, but it is a use of force, escalation, de-escalation program. You can utilize other uses of force with your weapon, your firearms, TASER, various scenarios to disengage. And it works great for us because a lot of times when people look at buying this package, they don't really have a place to use it. We'll be able to set it up and have it used in what we're using now for our public training room. So we have the exact dimensions in the area that they need. The TASER Pro comes with all the equipment that you need, your training tasers. It actually comes with several modified firearms that we can train with for the ones that we carry. So we'll actually be able to utilize it with our holsters and not have to makeshift with the things we have. It comes with all the VR headsets that you need. And again, all the technology and warranty for 5 years. The tasers also have that. So when you start talking about the tasers, you have to train with them, you have to recertify with them. And right now we're spending a few $1,000s a year just buying the equipment to recertify every year. So the package that we're talking about comes with all of that, along with that training system. When you're talking about the training portion of it, when we send somebody to training, you pay a tuition just for the training class, and then you got to pay the officer's salary, plus the logistics of getting them there, backfilling their position, because we have to keep people on the road. So it's not when you look at it and you say, well, how much does a training class cost? To put somebody in, say the TASER instructor, it's $1,300 just for the tuition. And then we have to pay their salary for a week for them to be gone, backfill them. This comes with the certification for all the instructors that we need. So if we want to certify our entire department to become instructors in this VR, then it's done as part of this package. We'll be able to train our officers even in short bursts. So we can take them and train them for 2 hours at a time and get great training on it and not have to worry about all day overtime. We don't have to have an officer work for 8 to 12 hours a night and then they go to training all day the next day, where you're getting diminishing returns and not quality. We can train them on their time. We currently carry what they consider the X26P. That's the model of the TASER that we have. TASER, the reason how this even started to take root over the last couple of months / year is TASER's informed us that they're coming to the end of their life cycle. They won't be repairing these any longer, they won't be selling parts any longer, and they won't be selling them any longer. We've already had several of these break. The technology came out about 13 years ago. Well, the technology is actually a little older than 13 years. They were introduced about 13 years ago, and we've had ours for almost the whole time. So we have had some come down. Sometimes we can get them fixed for a few $100. Sometimes we just need to buy a new one for a few $1,000s, but we're going to lose that option here real soon. So, and we have no extra. So as soon as we have a TASER go down, we're going to have to figure out what to do with it. And TASERs, right now, could I buy one today at Vance's? Yeah, probably. Who knows in 2 or 3 weeks or next month what happens with them. So this version of our TASER is gone. So it created a need. TASER, it's not the frequency that we use the TASER. It's not, we're not deploying it every night, but it's a vital tool for our officers to have a intermediary ability to what they call, less lethal ability is vital for the public and the officers for them to be able to do the job that they're doing. So that's a little bit, kind of a quick overview of the TASER, the warranty that we have, what we get with that 5-year pack. So earlier on, I told you, I think it was an overall a $200-some thousand request that it'll be. The portion that I just talked about for the TASERs and the training, the technology and the updates, it's a package deal, but this part of the package is $159,019.20. So that's how Taser's breaking that part of the thing down. So I know on our request, it probably just has the overall purchase price, but I wanted at least to break down the Taser portion of it and the training and the VR training technology pack, what that part covers. If it's easiest, I'll just talk about the second part, the drone, and then we can, if we can have discussion, or would the board like to talk about that specific part of the request?
I went through the training, just so you know, that he's talking about, the entire thing. Blendon purchased the exact same package.
So you're already doing the
It's
Taser 10?
unbelievable what this thing does. Holds 10 darts instead of 6. There's a whole lot of other stuff. And I sat there, watched them train with it, watched them use it. It's pretty incredible, just so you know.
We could talk, yeah, we could talk for hours and hours on the technology part, but I know the big part is kind of overviewing it and talking about the price, but I'm happy, yeah, as much as you want to talk about in the technology, I can try to do the best I can on it.
Do you want to make a motion first, or do we?
What, the motion I know encompasses the drone part as well. So I can get into the drone portion of it as well, because that's this drone that I want to talk about is also in the 200,000. And why are we tying drones and tasers together? I can explain it if you would prefer to do that first. I just didn't want to blast past the tasers if you had some specific questions about the Taser 10.
I'm good. The Police Advisory Committee, Denman did a very lengthy presentation, so I'm all schooled on this. But I know you two haven't, so ask away.
Yeah, just a couple of questions that come to mind. One is, how many tasers is this total?
27 tasers. So the request is for 27 tasers, which is what would be considered our full staffing. So we'd have one for everybody when we hire one more.
And then, tell me why they can't share tasers.
In the past, we have shared tasers. Now, when you start looking at the Taser 10, there's so much data tracking and technology in it that if they start trying to share tasers, so the taser batteries are now no longer what you think about as your rechargeable AA, AAA. That's where a lot of your technology is. So the way that Taser advises to set it up, the officer will carry the taser for approximately 30 days. The battery should last no problem. They take the battery out and they dock it, and it charges, and then it also downloads what the taser has done for the past 30 days. If somebody's taking it home and they're messing around with it, it's going to download all of that. It'll pay attention to what deployments they've had. Even if they've taken it out of the holster and had it but didn't use it, it'll go over all that data. If officers are sharing it, then we're going to start to cross-reference the data with it.
Yeah.
When you have something that's your own, it's just better taken care of. If we put 7, 8, 10 of these in a bank and they're getting taken in and out, one of the 10 prongs that are in it, something's the matter with it, and we end up having to replace everything, it's not taken care of as well, so.
Okay, and then what do we do with the old tasers?
When,
Can the public purchase?
no, public cannot purchase them, no, so.
Mark's like, I want a taser.
Well, let me put it this way. The public can't purchase ours. If you want to call advances down the road, I'm not sure. So there's two scenarios, and we're working out which one we actually are going to do. So as we go further into the presentation, I'm going to talk about what an awesome job Denman did getting a $13,000 grant to pay for this year's payment. When he applied for the grant last year and the government shutdown has really slowed things down, he told the grant company we were going to trade them, or we were going to donate them to a police department in need. When we didn't hear back from the grant for 6, 8 months, we then went to Taser and worked out the best deal we can, and we told Taser we would trade ours into them. So we are working logistically which way we're gonna work that out. If the grant provider is okay with us trading them in, or if we need to talk to Taser. They will either be donated to a police department who doesn't have any, or traded back to Taser, and what Taser's probably gonna do is take the last couple of these and use the last little bit of parts they have and stop manufacturing them, but not the public.
Mark, do you have any other questions?
No.
So, in addition to the training, will you have policies around how these are utilized by the officers? Like you said, if somebody took it home and took it out of their holster and, decided to see how well it worked on Mark,
I've done it.
But will you have policies around the usage of the tasers as part of the training and kind of set expectations?
We do have a policy on tasers with our CLIA certification, and it's up to date for these. We're going to need to update a couple of the policies once we know exactly what the technology is to update it. But yes, the answer is yes, we do have it, and I'm sure we need to tweak one or two things to match this new technology. And CLIA requires it. That's one of the great things about being that CLIA certification and requirement. We got to comply with the national standards.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes. And if I didn't mention too, just on those with this new package, I'd like to say it's going to be a additional cost, but we know there's always something that can pop out. But there should be no additional cost for the 5 years to keep these tasers up and running. And it also comes with express overnight delivery. So if something happens with one of these tasers go down, because we will have the amount that the officers need, 24-hour turnaround less than to get what we need to get these officers back up and running on that portion of it. The second part to it is drones. We've been talking about drones now, I think, again, for a little over a year, and I've been really slow on this process because when the closer we got to buying the drone that we really need, is when people started hearing about the federal government going to turn the drones off, stop the usage of them, stop the import of them because of some issues with other foreign countries that manufacture them. So we've really been taking it easy on doing it. I wanted to do the due diligence and make sure that we don't do something that we regret. When working with Taser on this larger purchase, we knew that Taser partnered, or Axon, now I need to switch away from saying Taser. The parent company Axon actually partnered with another company called Skydoo or Skidoo. They manufacture drones, and the drones that they're manufacturing are compliant with all of the federal rules right now that they're safe and they're going to be able to go through any shutdowns that need. So we said, well, maybe we can try to package something together. Well, Denman, said, let's see what we can do. So ultimately, he said, well, we need this, and we've been needing a drone. We've been talking about it. So what can you do, Axon? So ultimately, what Axon did was they were able to provide us with a drone, and the cost of the drone is $38,113.20. The drones that we have been talking about over the last year and a half are somewhere between $30,000 and $35,000. For a while, when we started looking at trying to find a drone that I use the word called compliant, they were $50,000 and sometimes over $100,000 to get that additional technology. So for them to come in around that 38.1 mark is really comparable to some of those other companies that we have fears are going to shut off before too long. Now, what Taser likes to do is they offer a technology pack. So, we're going to get the flying piece of plastic. But what Taser does is they add a 5-year technology pack, and that technology pack is $30,269, and it allows that. It does the same thing. It updates that drone with some of that adaptive AI technology, continues to keep it up and running, the most up-to-date software, up-to-date abilities to operate and become smarter and better through the weather. It's a larger drone that is meant to be flown outdoors. One of the neat things about the Skydoo drone versus a lot of the other ones, the Skydoo uses cell technology. So anybody who knows much about drones or has ever flown drones, you're really limited within line of sight and what your remote control can work with the drone, maybe a few thousand feet, few thousand yards. Because it's running through the cell technology, it can be driven anywhere there's cell service. So when we started this process, we did certify our officers in the needed FAA regulations to fly the drones. We went ahead and had them certify out through the additional part. I think they consider it Part 2, which allows them to fly outside of line of sight. It wasn't anything more. It was just a couple more questions on the test. So we went ahead and did that. So if we ended up with this type of drone, our officers already have the certifications and the abilities that we could start to do things with this drone and not necessarily have to worry about right on top of the subject. There's a lot of federal laws in place now that prevent police departments, and anybody really, any government entity, to flying over residents, videotaping things in the backyard, invasions of privacy. It prevents that. These aren't meant for that type of investigative tool. What we've always talked about and what we've used examples of is area searches, people searches. we've talked about it on a couple of different occasions. We've had Sunbury come down. They found individuals, that drone found individuals in the water probably much faster than we could have. I know they found at least one of them and was able to get that victim out alive. They've helped us with a couple of other area searches. It was 3-4 weeks ago, we had a young autistic individual missing. So our officers started to respond. We do have a really small drone that we've used to search houses and stuff rather than our officers going in. That day they had the drone in the car. They attempted to deploy it. It was way too windy for the small drone, so we couldn't. So we had a missing young autistic individual. And what ended up happening was a construction worker was working out on the roads and they saw that individual running and could tell something wasn't right, and he ended up catching the child for us. So safely brought back. But that was an area where we weren't able to get a drone deployed because of the weather. The same thing with this one. So this particular drone, if you get it, it comes with a 3-year warranty. So while we keep talking about like that 5-year technology pack, make sure I'm clear with the board, it's a 3-year warranty. Axion's always been really good to us. If we need something and it's a minor part, it's a minor this, whether warranty's there or not, they help you out. They ship it to you. Now, if we drive the drone in the side of the building in year 4, probably going to be something on us. But it has that 5-year technology pack that it'll continue to update, do everything that it needs, and again, it'll never be dumber than it is that day because of how they update it. I went back and I did a couple of looks because I can't remember, but it was within the last couple of trustee sessions talking about drones and usage and how much have we used them, how much haven't we used them. So even with our small drone that, as I just mentioned, it does not get deployed all the time because of conditions. We've used it about 12 times in less than a year. I know for sure we've asked for outside assistance at least 6 different times. Now, I don't have all the reports on that because we don't necessarily write a report when we have it. So there's been multiple times, and if we had our own, probably the numbers would be even higher. So the reason why the drone's tied in with the tasers is because it is under that Axiom umbrella. And ultimately what happened was when Jim talked to them, Taser said that Axon said they'd give us $20,000 off the taser portion of the quote. So that makes it roughly that $150,000 number. And people, some people are like, well, that's just a marketing gimmick. They can say what they want. But we've had quotes for that Taser Pro Pack before, even in previous years. And it was every bit of 150, 160 plus. And Taser, you can look at their pricing history, minimum 4% every year. It goes up. So, we're getting more for a price that we've gotten in the past years at every bit of that less. So I do believe that they knocked off about that 20,000. So while the drone, you're talking that the drone is with the technology pack close to a little over 60,000, they are knocking 40 off that entire purchase. It's been something that we've been looking at before. They're both needs of the township and things we've been looking at and been very careful and diligent, making sure that we get the right thing because it is expensive. So that's the total piece to it. And I forgot to mention, I kind of briefly mentioned it. If we do this purchase this year, so in 2025, the board approved Denman to apply for the JAG grants. It was delayed, it was just awarded. Jim got awarded $12,944.16 to be able to be purchased on the Taser package for this year. We're gonna ask for, the resolution does cover it, to take this payment and make it over 5 years. Taser doesn't care if we make a single payment or if we make 5 payments. No interest, no penalties, no bonuses. If we do it over a 5-year payment plan, the plan is that, and I will here next ask for permission to apply for this year's JAG grant. We're going to ask for the continuation of the Taser purchase. The way that Jim understands it when he's been working with it is that asking for a continuation grant is actually a little easier than even the initial grant. What they do is they know that you can spread this payment over the course of 5 years, so they don't award you everything at once, which allows them to spread their money out a little bit. So we got just under $13,000 this year for the payment, for a part of the payment, and we're going to ask for that. And we don't specify the amount, but we're going to ask for the federal government to help with each one of those 5-year payments. So we won't pay more than what we've asked for today, and we may be able to pay less if we do. And that part of that $220,000 purchase, that the $13,000 would take some of that off. So it's already taking care of that if we do that this year. And I think that's it for that.
I'm going to read the resolution and then we can ask questions. That's the easiest way to do it. Can I read this as presented?
You want to do the supplement?
Yeah. Okay, all right. So I will move to approve the following supplemental appropriation amendment. The police from account number 2191-930-930-0000 to account number 2191-760-740-0000 in the amount of $20,597.36 for the capital improvement of tasers and drone. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, explain to me again the 20, what's this, 20,000? Help me with the math, because the numbers are
It's
all over.
appropriating money into the account that we're gonna pay the whole amount out, because there's not $227,000 in that account. So we're moving $20,000 over.
So last month, if you recall, Board, I believe it was last month, we moved some money out of one account to another, didn't ask for any additional, but put it in a different envelope to spend out of. I jumped the gun. I should have given it another month because we actually need that money back in the account we moved it out of so we can make our first payment if the board approves it. So I moved money from the envelope I needed it in and put it in the wrong one. That's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, okay.
I appreciate your honesty.
All right. Roll?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes. And then I will move to approve, to enter into an agreement and issue purchase order for Axon Enterprise as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll give it to Annette because Mark had the last two. All right, and now we'll do discussion. If you want to ask any questions about the drone or the taser.
I was on the police committee when we had the opportunity, I think Westerville brought their drone in. And I had the opportunity to watch them demonstrate what it can do. And we sent somebody out in the woods and the drone could pick up from their body heat. So I know that it provides some pretty serious value. My question is there ability for the fire department to recognize some value or use out of the drone? Chief, you might, between the two of you, can you answer that?
I've talked with Chief Ponzi, and I'll give him the mic in a second, but since it's sitting here, we talked in the past, and I think so. When we were looking at it at one point, and we had filed for a grant a few years ago, in the grant, we had talked about using the drone to try to help identify hot spots high on buildings and to see some things like that, and we would absolutely, if got approved, we would have the drone up and running at any point in time and have the ability to use it if the fire department would request it.
I could see the advantages for the fire department, even with the, even with the police department housing the drone and having the ability. As Chief McMillan said, search and rescues usually, especially in the waterways right now, and even like, even no matter what happens with Hoover, we have plenty of ponds in the township that are sizable. You know, the FLIR, the infrared cameras on those are amazing, as you were speaking to. Chief McMillan talked about, it's probably a little over a year ago, we had 2 boaters overturn on Hoover, and the Sunbury police officer came down and got the drone up. They located those 2 individuals within a matter of minutes. It was extremely cold out, had a great heat signature coming off of the 2 individuals. It was dark out. I mean, it was pitch black. If you've been out on Hoover in the dark, we would have been there all night till the next day. And they found them like this. Even as far as the application for the fire application for us, couple things. We don't have a lot, but if we were to have a commercial building fire, to be able to put that drone up in what we call loiter over the building, to be able to watch the roof or watch the other side or an angle or an area of the building that we can't get a fire apparatus to. It's a valuable resource there. Secondly, after a house fire, to be able to use that to continue to look for hot spots within the structure. We have portable cameras, but if we want to get a top-down view, it's very difficult for us. So I could see there would be a multitude of opportunities for us to utilize that drone on. I mean, we'd be very interested in when Chief McMillan started getting his folks licensed. Sound like they were gonna have a better opportunity through some of the legal grants to get them. They're just not available for us, on the grant side.
Yeah.
And I said, go for it, you get your people licensed. We can work out the joint use or the call for help, right? Hey, we need the drone. The teamwork's already there between the two agencies. I foresee no problem with that.
It's great.
Thank you. Just a side note, and in my business, we have purchased a significant drone that we use for surveying, and we spent well over $60,000 for our drone, so it's good to hear your price point is, very impressive to get it for that price.
Okay. Anybody else?
Will it be insured?
We will add it to the insurance policy for sure. So I think
Pat, you can't let it go.
all the
Which I
tasers,
love,
all the,
right?
I believe all the tasers are also insured because
Okay.
individually they're not that much, but as a package, it's in there, so. I'm sure Administrator Wise can get that on there pretty quickly for us.
You got it?
It's an
You got it,
asset.
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
All right.
No.
Roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to start a discussion, kind of like we did last week with the video redaction charging to get the board's thoughts and to see if there's anything. I've got some things I'm working on, but to see if there's things I can answer for you between now and next month as well. So it's titled, I believe, Charging Businesses for Unfulfilled Special Duties. So we have events inside the township that what we would deem have safety concerns, where companies or organizers want to hire officers at special duty rate. Some of the examples we've had since I've worked here over my years, political events, political rallies, a lot of school events, sports events, dance events that require additional officers than what are on the road. And through traditional history, they pay the officer a certain rate and they hire them. Over the last few years, we've gotten to where, A, the events are getting bigger, they need more officers, staffing has different areas, and we haven't been able to fill them. I have been around and at times been a part of a few times where they'll require you to, they just use special or overtime to fill it because of the safety factor. I was at an executive meeting with other police executives, and we were talking about it, and I expressed some of my concerns about when these private entities do that, and we don't have the ability to fill it with special duty, what do we do as a public safety department because we're using our officers for events that are profit? And I heard several villages and cities speak up that they just charge the company special duty rate. So they'll fill them with their officers, and then they go ahead and charge it for the special duty rate, and it pays the village. Well, let's look into that. I know, again, as we talked about earlier today, townships can't always do what cities and villages can do, but I wanted to look into it. So I've talked to our legal advisor, our prosecutor, a couple of times, and he is very confident that it is legal for the township to do that. Now, he is waiting to check one or two more things to give me a final approval, but he's very confident in it. So I was comfortable coming to the board tonight to at least start the discussion. One of the things that I had pointed out to the prosecutor is we already charge these. If that same company wants to use our cruisers, we already charge them for it. So we do charge them. It's a relatively nominal fee, but we do make a charge, so they pay for some of the wear and tear and the gas on the cruiser. So we do already do a charge like that. As I said, a lot of villages do it. One of the things, so our special duty rate is $73 an hour. A topped-out officer's rate with none of the additional add-ons to it is $75.57. So it's a very comparable rate if we would pay them the overtime and then reimburse back that $73. What I'm hoping to be able to do next month is to get that final approval from the prosecutor that says it's okay. I need to talk to the union stewards to work out a few things with the contract, but potentially come to the board next month and ask for. The prosecutor doesn't seem to think it needs to be a resolution because it was something we could legally do, but maybe a consensus from the board to adopt the practice of charging a company or organizer the special duty rate if we need to fill officers at overtime rate based on the chief's opinion of public safety, something to that effect. So I just wanted to at least start that discussion with the board and see if there's anything that you may know right away that you'd like me to look into to present that to you.
I'm good.
Okay.
Think of anything?
Okay, yeah, I'll just work on that and to see, and to work on some of that, try to work on some of the logistics and the legalities to do that. So we do have, one of the big ones, we do have the high school football season come up, and that's usually the ones where we run into some of the most, because they have their rivalry games, they need substantial amount of help. And, you know, it's for the city schools, which we're not part of the city already, so a way to recoup some of those costs. So I'll continue to look into that. And then the last thing I'd like to do is request, again, you know, I know we talked about getting the grant and spending it, but that technically was a 2025 grant. I'd like to request from the board to let Denman go ahead and apply for that 2026 JAG grant, which is the Justice Assistant Grant. Had to look that up to make sure I knew. It's a federal grant, so this one comes from the federal. To apply for approval for the year 2 payment of our TASER package that we just purchased.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll do that. And then the last thing, and I know I've taken up some time, but I do think it's worth mentioning. Denman was going to be here this evening, but I thought I had it taken care of, so he wasn't. But I wanted to mention, since Jim's taken over the writing grants and it's been less than a year, he saved the township over $25,000 in purchases that we would make anyway with our vests. He actually has around, I think it's $12,000 pending. I'm very confident that we're going to be approved for that, for the vest grants, to help include people on our SWAT team, our fire department, and our officers. So another $12,000 in less than a year. That JAG grant that he got for just under $13,000, he was the only, Genoa, but he wrote it, was the only police agency in Delaware County to receive any funding from JAG. There was one other Delaware County agency, public agency, but not a police department. And when he talked to his teacher, the individual that's mentoring him, he was actually shocked that TASER approved, or JAG approved any money for a TASER purchase. He said they don't like to do that normally because, again, they kind of do it knowing that they're committing to 5 years of the request and that it's easier to do that. So in his short time, he saved, you know, it's going to be well over $32,000. And if he can even get $13,000 a year for the next 5 years, the amount that he's saving messing with some of those grants. And it's not something he ever thought he would be doing, but he's doing a pretty darn good job at it. And I thought it was worth mentioning that to the board.
Right,
That's
thank you.
amazing.
Done for the evening.
Thank you.
Nope, got one more.
One more. Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot Jared's there. So Jared Speakman, who was with us, left. We just rehired him. He's looking like he is requesting to transfer 53.559 hours of sick time from Ross County back to Genoa Township. And I believe everything's been handled paperwork-wise with HR. And so she's verified that he has that. I would request the board to approve that, please.
Okay, I will move to approve the sick leave transfer of 53.59 hours for Officer Jared Speakman from the Ross County Sheriff Department. Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion? Roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, Chief.
And that's it. Good evening.
Chief.
Next, Leslie, Communications and Events.
Yes, time flies, so it's already time for my quarter 2 just update for you on what's going on in communications. And I think one of the most helpful things probably for you all to hear is what the community has been most interested in. What is the data telling us they're reading and wanting to know about? So as far as our e-newsletters for May, June, and then the paper newsletter as well, which included July. The topics that came up most clicked were election information by far. And then we had fireworks legalities. That was more popular than I expected it to be. Road construction. And that ties actually to the top concern I was receiving on our social media channels and trying to help people with was the construction detour that got set up on Big Walnut Road in Tussock. The detour signs were flipped until the day construction started, and it really caused a flurry of confusion, people thinking the detours would be residential roads, which is not the case. So we were able to help clarify that for them. People were interested in Birthday Bash, which was a great event, and the State of the Township video. So as far as website traffic, our website traffic was down just a little bit, and this is actually an interesting thing I'll be keeping an eye on. What I've been hearing is that now that AI is becoming more widely used, you're gonna have less human traffic on your websites, and you're gonna have more bots crawling. So people will go to AI to find their answers and perhaps never actually visit your website. So I'll be watching this to see if it continues to drop. It wasn't a major drop or anything, but I do think it's a change that we can expect to see, and something that will be strategic in the next website update of how do you build a website in this new world and
But
economy.
Is it that AI is pulling information from our website, correct? They're
Yep.
just not coming to it.
Right, so typically you'd have a user go to a page and you could see how long they're sitting there reading, and then what then page do they link to from there? What's catching their eye on your page? Well, the bot just needs to scan it once periodically, and then it can regurgitate that information to users who often just type their question into Google. Google AI spits out the answer. So it'll change how our website's used, and we want to keep tabs on that, so.
That is not something I had thought about.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There'll be a whole different economy of how
Yeah.
the website.
Yeah, how do you
website.
build your website?
Yeah. But for now, the most visited content we had, it makes sense seasonally. In April, people are gearing up for their home improvement projects, so people were very interested in residential improvement permits. And then also we had the house fires in that time period, and they were curious about what happened and how do they prevent that from happening in their homes. We had in May current development projects map, so people want to see what's being constructed, and then accessing the zoning archive, so kind of continue that spring trend. And then in June, maintenance alerts. So what that is Lauren and I years ago worked together to create a door hanger tag. So anytime she is doing a resurfacing project or even a tree trimming, whatever, they hang a door hanger on affected residents' homes, and that has a QR code and a website on it that is maintenance alerts. And so we just update that page just for the people who it affects. So that page is being visited because obviously her construction projects are kicking off, and the people are curious, well, what is happening at my street? So that's getting used, which is great data to have. And then, let's see, fireworks legalities came up again in that category. Finally, yeah, we talked about the big walnut construction. So aside from that, there's just tidbits here. I don't want to go into too much detail, but just trying to get around and document all the wonderful things going on in our community. I was able to get out and make like a short video of what road milling looks like, so that we can start to compile what people can expect when they find out their road is under construction. Like, what does that mean? What are the steps in the process? So building those pieces and just putting out shorter videos that don't take as much editing time for me, but keep that content fresh and collect it for the end of the year video as we go along. So it's not a big rush.
Smart.
Yes. Yeah, but aside from that, if you have questions of any of the other tidbits I put on there, but I think the data is probably the thing you guys will be most.
Leslie failed to mention that she started a project today where she's photographing all the employees and making badges for them.
Oh, I like that.
Because we had a situation during the last snow event that some of our employees were pulled over and they didn't have any ID on them. So they couldn't show that they were a employee or a photo of themselves to say, I'm going to work to plow snow. So she started working on that today, and
Nice.
We have
Really-
a very photogenic staff.
Great idea.
Yeah, I think
Who
it'll-
knew that
it's
would be a
also-
thing, but
It's also So great as like a security measure. It'd be
Yeah.
very easy to spoof a township employee. So to have official ID for
I love it.
working on the trail or whatever, I think it'll have multi-purpose. And
Great.
I did learn today I have no good side, so.
Learn that, wait, you just learned that? Sorry.
I'm not.
Leslie, kudos to you. In the end of June, I was, thank you, Police Chief. The Township Police Department held the Ohio Township Association annual county meeting, which they stole from Blendon. But,
I don't care.
yeah, I know. They, we all squeezed into the police department building, which was great. But there was a website, the Shoemaker Group as a vendor for the OTA, and they gave a update on the ADA compliant websites, and it's a big deal. And they're saying that there are lawyers all over the country just reviewing any entity's website to see if it's ADA compliant, and you just need one little miss and you can be sued for mega bucks. So thank you, Leslie, for working. I mean, yeah, you scratch your head, like, we're just, especially these these small townships who don't have a communications director or talented staff. They're hiring Shoemaker Group and other companies to do these things. But I mean, just things that you don't even think of, that you just have to watch your back.
yeah, I will say it's something I'm constantly paying attention to, even down to, you can't just upload a picture that has a description of the file name. Like on my camera, it comes off as like DSZ2934.
You have to say what the picture
I need
is.
to be very specific about like person holding
Dog.
dog in park, so yes, it's something that I'm constantly paying attention to so we don't get dinged for those
Yeah,
items.
it's a lot of work from the way it was described, that if you have a visually impaired person, they want it all auditory and, that they can use your website when they can't see what's on it. It's crazy. But I understand why it's a need. It's just things that you don't think about. Mhm. All right, thank you, Leslie. Next, we have fire.
Good evening, Board. Just have one item before you this evening, sick leave transfers. The following sick leave transfers are from the most recent employees that we hired. 3 of the 5 so far have submitted the necessary paperwork to request sick leave transfer as allowable under the township policy. And if possible, I'll just read them all as one with the hours. All the gentlemen that have requested, we've received verification letters from their former chiefs, verifying the previous hours that they had at their previous departments. So I would request to approve sick leave transfers for the following firefighter paramedics. Sean Rosen, 160 hours of sick time from the Youngstown Fire Department. Brody Warner, 57 hours of sick time from the Springfield Township Fire Department. And Jonathan Smith, 139 hours of sick time from the Springfield Township Fire Department.
Okay, I will move to approve the sick leave transfers for the following firefighter paramedics. Sean Rosen, 160 hours of sick time from the Youngstown Fire Department. Brody Warner, 57 hours of sick time from the Springfield Township Fire Department. And Jonathan Smith, 139 hours of sick time from the Springfield Township Fire Department. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes.
Thank you, Board. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief.
Well played, Joe.
And, yeah, it's short. Next is zoning, Joe Schaefer.
Yeah, good evening, Board. I just have one thing to present, and I think Trustee Vaughn, were you planning on handling the other?
Sure,
Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
go ahead.
All right, I already started. So, just want to give you a quick update, following up on the omnibus amendment. So as part of that discussion, as you recall, we had a lot of talk, and we said we were gonna put our code online. And I think I even mentioned at the last meeting that it was forthcoming. It's here. So I'm just gonna navigate here on the website on the television screen. So this is the development and zoning page, and we've updated some of the pictures. Here's Simon putting a sign out. So if you now click on the zoning resolution tab, instead of getting the page with all the PDFs, you now go to our nice new wonderful online zoning code. So I'm not gonna bore you with all the details of going through it, but here's all the articles, and then you can scroll through here, and there's search functions and print functions and bookmark functions and all the things you would expect. So we do have a user guide that they sent us on how to do that. We're still sort of combing through it, learning all the ins and the outs, but we already use it a ton. Like, I'm able to now, copy the URL and send it directly to people, as opposed to being like, well, it's Article 15, but it's page 15 of the PDF halfway down. Now I can a lot more precisely send them, here's the code, or copy it, or it's just way easier to use. Only other thing that isn't done yet on this is they still need to do all the definition linking that we wanted them to do. That was an extra thing. I felt it was well worth the money. You all very well know how long the document is, so I'm not surprised it's not done yet. So I know they're working on it. I asked for an update the other day, but I haven't heard back yet. But they've been pretty good to work with, so I'm not concerned on that front. But you can see, the section numbers are linked. So if it brings up a section number, now you can jump to that section. So
awesome.
yeah, we're really excited. So I did want to show you that is done. I'm actually going to pick up on what Leslie was talking about real quick, because it's related. So we talked about the user guide design manual, and we're still sort of working on that internally and what that looked like. But in the interim, especially because of the prevalence of AI, what I've done is I've really started going through these FAQs. I've rearranged them, introduced new topics, and I'm really trying to get better about making sure we have very thorough answers, because I know people aren't going to read it, but AI is going to read it. And I sent you that email, I think, a few weeks ago of AI is already reading the new code. And when I updated this stuff, it's already reading the FAQs. So I'm continuing to tinker with the FAQs. We're limited to, on the main page, a certain number. Then if you click this additional link here that Leslie has put in, I'm able to put in more. And AI doesn't care what page it's on, it's going to read them anyway. So I really am trying to think like a resident, ask those questions, and put those answers in. I think the next one I'm probably going to do is sort of just the entire, what do I need to do to prepare to get for a permit? And I'm literally going to go step by step, because I know that's what AI is going to spit out. So that's probably going to be the next step there. And then we'll continue to work, Leslie and I, and possibly Trustee McMurray, on, if we're going to do the user guideline, what that would need to look like, or do we think the FAQs are going to serve that function now with AI becoming so prevalent? But I just wanted to show that function to you as well.
Great. Yeah, it looks great.
Good to see it come together.
That's all I had on that front.
Okay, thank you. I requested that the next item be on the agenda, and we decided to put it under zoning. At the last meeting, we had a resident come and read a couple sections of the Ohio Revised Code and say that we didn't follow the correct procedure for the omnibus amendment, that issue should be on the ballot. So at our request, Joe reached out to the prosecutor's office, and they sent us a formal letter spelling out summarizing that we did follow the correct process. As promised, I reached out to the resident and sent just my summary of the document, but the resident is requesting that we release that document. It is attorney-client privilege. I don't have an issue allowing that to be released to the resident, because the only reason we reached out to the prosecutor was because of the comments that were made. So I just wanted to bring it up at this discussion. I'm just one trustee. I don't have majority rule. We need two of us to agree to release it. Paul, do you have a comment or no?
Just, it's an interesting situation when, you work with the prosecutor, and it's a type of a attorney-client privilege, And so the prosecutor issues opinion, then you're going to release that to the public. I don't know. If it becomes a slippery, slidey slope when you do that with everyone asking for every legal opinion, so.
That's where I was going to go with it. My fear is that, are we setting a precedent for the future?
I can't remember the last time a legal opinion has been released to the public. So,
We did the memo during the omnibus hearing, but Pete Griggs wasn't present there and walked us through that and gave us the guidelines. If you don't mind me jumping in, so what
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
doing, what I was doing on the screen here is all the information on how this whole process works, aside from being the ORC, the county prosecutor's office in the civil division has a Delaware County Township's training manual, which is, pages upon pages, which I'm fairly certain Peter Griggs was probably involved with. He's on here, I think, somewhere. Well,
Yeah,
there's,
he
there's
is,
me,
in the
Mr.
middle.
Evenhoff, there's Peter Griggs. So as you can see, a lot of attorneys are listed on the cover of this document. In this document, amongst other things, not even pertaining to zoning, it talks about zoning commission, BZA, just how all of that works, how the BZA functions, how amendments work. So I'm not sure it's terribly necessary to release the legal opinion because it's public information. It's all right there.
He can call the prosecutor himself, he or she, I'm not sure.
I'm gonna, trust the opinions of the people who have the law degrees and are certified to practice law in the state of Ohio to tell us what the ORC and these documents mean.
Yeah, I would advise maybe we could point him directly to this or point the person directly to this so that they can read and essentially, if that
Yeah.
aligns with the, yeah.
And
I
even
would-
our zoning resolution codifies it all too. I mean, Article 26 is the section that talks about map amendments and text amendments. It's out there, it cites the ORC, it lays out the entire process, all vetted by attorneys, and that's been in there for several years. Article 27 deals with the plan developments, similar type of process, but obviously different animal. But again, it's all out there.
Okay. And Joe, just for clarification, where did you find this information?
Sure, I'll back up real quick, because I did this while you were sort of talking.
Yep.
So this is the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office
Yep.
website. Scroll down, you go to the Civil Division, and it's down here at the bottom of the page, and it's just a PDF that opens up.
Okay.
You could just copy that and send it to.
Yeah, send that link.
Yep, and I'm sure OTA, I could find probably a bunch of materials that mimic all of this that say the exact same thing.
Okay. So that information is,
In my opinion, it's very public already, that there's
okay.
no need really to regurgitate a legal opinion.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have. I'm going to switch it over to maintenance and Lauren.
Good evening, Board. This evening, I have 4 purchase orders for you that will all 4 be then and now purchase orders. So I first want to give a brief reasoning on why we have this evening. So the week of July 6th through the 10th, our milling crew was on 4th of July vacation the entire time, our contractor. So I knew that, so I had planned on this being our makeup week for laying asphalt, because we still mill in the pouring down rain, but we don't lay asphalt in the rain. The rain's been very kind to us, and we've stayed directly on schedule, like to pinpoint schedule. It's been a great season so far. So that being said, I had these projects planned for the end of the paving season, which would be in August. So they actually happened last week. So that's my brief description of why we've got some purchase orders that are then announced. My first this evening that I'd asked for your approval on is a purchase order for McNamara parking lot resurfacing. We resurfaced from the new playground to the far west side of the parking lot, and that would be in the amount of $17,300 to Mid-Ohio Paving. That's for the material itself.
Okay, I will move to approve a then and now purchase order to Mid-Ohio Paving in the amount of $17,300 for the asphalt for the McNamara parking lot. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to jump ahead because because it looks like the second then and now is redundant. Can you explain the difference? Because the language is almost the same. Oh, I get
For
it.
McCoy,
One's labor.
McCoy, yep, McCoy is the contractor that has the paver, the roller, and the operators for the equipment.
I got it.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes.
And then my second for McNamara Park would be for McCoy paving in the amount of $15,500 for the labor and equipment.
Okay, I will move to approve a then and now purchase order to McCoy Paving in the amount of $15,500 for the labor for repaving a portion of McNamara Park parking lot. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Can you just summarize briefly where this is on the park?
Yep, so it starts right in front of the new playground, and it goes all the way to the west side of the parking lot to the cul-de-sac area against the Erie Trail.
Perfect.
Okay, roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes.
My next, I have a project that we did some spot paving on Hilligus Farms. That was severely deteriorating. That's not going to make it till next season. And then as well as a spot here on Big Walnut Road. So my first then and now purchase order for Mid-Ohio Paving, which is for the asphalt, is $1,500 that I ask you to approve this evening.
Okay, I'll move to approve a then and now purchase order to Mid-Ohio Paving in the amount of $1,500 for the asphalt for spot paving. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to do it to you again, sorry.
So
I'm struggling with $1,500 of asphalt and $14,000 of labor.
So that's the daily charge for McCoy to be on site with, that's TAC included too. I should include that. That's, they have the TAC. We don't have a TAC or a TAC machine.
All right.
So this is for them to come. We had 6 spots that were 10 to 12 foot wide that they paved on Hilligus Farms. And then they had 1 spot here on Big Walnut that crew actually did by hand, but the $14,000 is their daily charge for their show up, their equipment, and their laborers. It's a flat fee that is in our, that is part of our bid process that we do in the fall.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I will move to approve a then and now purchase order to McCoy Paving in the amount of $14,000 for.
No, we didn't vote.
What?
We didn't vote on
Oh, we got to vote, sorry.
That's all right. Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes. Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
And then the last, not quite the last, I have a discussion afterwards, but for your approval this evening, I asked for a blanket certificate.
Wait a minute. We
Oh,
didn't
wait.
do the other one.
You didn't do the other one.
They stopped me, and now it's all messed up. Everybody
All screwed up.
discombobulated.
We're all screwed up now.
All right, you just want me
It
to
all
read the
starts when
motion?
Mark jumps ahead to the next resolution.
I know, sorry.
Okay,
Let me read it.
we gotta do the McCoy one first.
Yes, I will move to approve a then and now purchase order to McCoy Paving in the amount of $14,000 for labor for spot paving. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes. Okay, we're back on track.
Now we can move on to the blanket. Ask the board this evening to approve a blanket certificate for the road resurfacing of Wentworth Court, the amount of $36,893.
I will move to approve a blanket certificate in the amount of $36,893 for road resurfacing of Wentworth Court. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Ms. McMurray? Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes, motion passes.
Discussion that's much less confusing.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Mark's still here. It might not be.
This up.
Announcements real quick.
All right, so I have found a grant through the Bureau of Workmen's Comp that supplies up to $40,000 to agencies such as ours for anything safety-related that can, prevent an accident or injury. So I came up with this idea, how handy a man lift would be, a scissor lift for all three of our departments to use. So I talked to Chief McMillan, I talked to Chief Ponzi, anything from changing light bulbs in the ceiling of the apparatus bay to cleaning out gutters to trimming trees in the maintenance facility. They all agreed that, heck yeah, they can use it as well, kind of as a shared piece of equipment. So this workman's comp, it's called a safety intervention grant. It's a 3-to-1 grant, so they supply $3 to every one of ours spent. So it's, in my opinion, a pretty good grant. But I'd like to apply for that on behalf of all three of our departments as a whole and work with Jim on getting that moving forward.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
And this isn't on the agenda, so I'm going to slip it in. It's not confusing either, though. So last year, Trustee Vaughn presented us with an Attorney General's Office grant for Shine the Light on Dumpers, which is, we're needing a gate for Jaycox. We just had 6 semi-tires dumped out there about 4 weeks ago that we had to dispose of. And it happens with tree limbs and debris and leaves and whatever they want to get rid of. Yard waste is a real bad one. We've had some trash, that kind of thing. So Dina's been helping out, and we'd like to apply for that grant again as well. We were going to do that last year, and we ran into some technicalities that kept us from doing that, but I think we're right on track this year to go move
love
forward
it.
with that, if it's okay with you folks.
Yes.
Desperately
Jim has that
needed.
written, it's just a matter of
Great.
a couple more things and hit
Yep.
and send on it, so.
Yeah, it's a matter of me pushing send on an email tomorrow to Dina to
Good.
wrap that up.
Good.
It's very badly needed.
Yeah.
We've talked about all kinds of things.
Discussed it at one of the meetings last year as well.
Mhm. Yep. Awesome.
Before you make announcements, I just want to commend all of these department heads, the effort that you put in for grants, you know, that we're not asking you to do is so commendable. I think the residents need to understand that you're treating this like it's your own, and I really, really appreciate the effort and the results. I mean, they speak for themselves.
And I can vouch, sometimes the comment is made, well, some of them don't live in the township. You can't tell. You're
Yeah.
all very passionate about Genoa, whether you live here or not. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay, announcements? Good? Okay. July 28th, the Board of Zoning Appeals. July 30th, Battle of the Badges Blood Drive. August 4th, National Night Out. August 6th, Parks Advisory Committee. August 6th, the Fire Advisory Committee. August 10th, Zoning Commission, and the regular trustee meeting is August 11th. There is no more business before the board, so I move to adjourn at 8:15 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Mr.